What is the worst thing you accidentally texted to the wrong person? So, I voice texted to an employee, "Hey, did you get your PC started up?" And I sent it without checking the translation. A few minutes later, I saw that I had asked my female employee, "Hey, did you get your coochie started up?" And I apologized profusely and was so embarrassed the next time I saw her. She laughed it off though, but it was absolutely a mistake. Next story. Not me exactly, but me and my friends with benefits were hanging out at his place and I asked him to take a picture of me naked wearing his tie and send it to me on Snapchat. Well, he took a video and he sent it, but instead, he sent it to one of his female friends who just started messaging him at the same time about how she was having a panic attack dealing with her abusive dad, texting her some awful stuff. It was not the time for her to see that. She lived up the street, so he immediately calls her, keeps her on the phone so she doesn't open his message, and drives over to her, gets her to give him her phone so he could see her dad's messages, and meanwhile deletes his message from Snapchat so that she never saw it. He spent some time with her to calm her down and make sure she was okay. He came back feeling like a god that he succeeded in his stealth mission, and he helped her feel better too. Next story. Got into an argument with my mom when I was a teenager, and she told me to go to my room. I went to my room and meant to text my brother saying, "Mom is such a B word right now." Then I heard my mom's phone ring in the living room. I realized I had accidentally texted her. So I walked out to the living room, quietly expecting her to blow up on me, but she had gone to the bathroom and left her phone in the living room. So I grabbed her phone, deleted the text message, then ran back to my room. One of the luckiest moments of my life. Okay guys, if this whole video is just stealth missions deleting text messages, I'm going to be so entertained. I'm loving this already. Oh, I'm excited to read this one. But anyway, next story. So, not a text message, but at work on an internal messaging system, I typed in the wrong window, "dumbest manager ever," meant for a coworker, but indeed accidentally sent it to my manager. And I'm not sure how I didn't get in trouble or fired for that. I went to his office and casually said he can ignore the message I sent him. It was accidental. And that's what he did, without ever even looking at the message. Next story. Okay, time for me to shine. So I was effing a guy named Dan, and I texted him, "Hey, can't wait to see your wang tonight," or something like that. But I accidentally sent it to my dad. Dad and Dan are really close on my contacts. So I had to steal my dad's phone and delete it before I left because ew. And also, my parents pretty much think I'm still pure at this point. Next story. This was when smartphones first came out, but my mother-in-law and my husband have the same first initial. Thus, they were next to each other in my phone. I accidentally sent her a very graphic picture of my downstairs, and I immediately called her when I realized it, and I was like, "Hey, I sent you a picture, but please don't look. Can you try to delete it without looking?" Fast forward several years later, and she has now witnessed me giving birth twice, so I guess seeing her was inevitable. Next story. My dad was on an injectable medication for a time, and was in a car crash and broke his wrist. Me, I hate needles, have a phobia, but because of his broken wrist, I had to inject him. He tried making it funny by texting me "stabby stabby time," but instead texted this to our new neighbor who was doing work outside of his house. Neighbor apologized for the noise and said he was nearly done. And to be honest, to this day, I'm still not 100% sure he believes us that it wasn't directed at him. It does sound very weird. Next story. I was in high school, and my mom was on her way back from a business trip. She texted me, my brother, and my dad saying she had landed at her layover. My dad responded to the whole group saying, "I wish you were landing on my face right now, but that would be against FAA regulations." It was horrifying, but looking back, I appreciate his dad joke of a sext. Then, doesn't really count, but similar story, my cousin got a phone for Christmas when she was 12 years old, was at a buddy's house a few months later, and he took my phone and started texting "send nudes" to all of the female-sounding names in my phone. After I realized what had happened, I snapped the phone in half and reported it stolen. I then put up a post on MySpace, that's how long ago this was, that my phone was stolen and I no longer had it. I was getting a new one soon with the same number. If it had not been for my cousin, I would have kept it and just let things play out, but I wasn't about to try and explain that one. Next story. I thought I was texting my wife. Instead, I texted this male coworker that was a weird guy that was always trying to mentor me, despite him only being 2 years older than me with less experience in our field. But I was going on a business trip that he wasn't a part of. The text message said, "The plane is leaving sooner than I thought. Missed lunch. I wish I'd eaten with you before I left. And, well, this idiot takes it as a problem he needs to fix, so he's calling around to our boss, who was with me, and other coworkers to make sure I got a proper lunch. Super embarrassing. Next story. I wasn't the sender, but I was the receiver. I was at work when I received a text message from my buddy. 2 seconds after I got his text, he called me, and he said, "Do not open that text. I'm on my way to the shop right now." He gets in, asks for my phone password, I give it to him, and he deletes his message to me. I asked him what the hell that was about, and I said, "I went to send my wife a wiener picture and I sent it to you by mistake." Next story. I was texting my then girlfriend, now wife, and my boss sent me a message which started a conversation. In between texting both of them, I got one thread mixed up with another, and I texted my boss, "Hugs and kisses on all of your pink parts." I just about died. Next story. My wife, she up and left at the beginning of the year. After some hard times, I decided I'm going to go back out there and hit the dating apps. Being a 40-year-old male, I figured this would be a crappy time for a long time. Well, turns out I got lucky and met a great woman. We hit it off. Third date, she comes over and my dog won't even look at her. Like, the dog would sit on my lap with her back to this woman. Well, as all adults do, things happened and yada yada yada. Well, after she left, my dog still refused to get in my bed. She was just pacing underneath it, which I told her. Then, finally, she jumped up on the bed and was furiously sniffing and scratching where this woman had been, which I told the new woman about. However, I realized that after I still had a notification from her previous text message. I thought this was odd and I checked it out, and oh nope, I sent the text message about another woman being in my bed to my soon-to-be ex-wife at 1 a.m. She had texted me earlier about something completely unrelated, and my phone opened her conversation instead of the other woman's. Next story. So, not me, but a friend. Our kids go to the same school, and the school, it has a grade-level group chat for all of the parents. Some woman, she asked a pretty normal question, and within seconds, my friend replied with the C word. He meant to send that in a different group chat with his friends. He sent it to the entire 4th grade parents chat. I pinged him so he could quickly delete it. Next story. Not a text message, but a video. I was shooting a homemade video with a friend, and I always use Snapchat to take videos and photos. Well, I went to remove my phone from the tripod and hit a button and posted the whole dang video to my story. Luckily, I had it down within a minute, and I don't think anybody saw it. Next story. Naked picture. I sent it to my wife's number, but Verizon messed up pretty badly. The customer service person couldn't stop laughing enough to help me. But the backstory is, my best friend was on disability and couldn't afford a phone. I often needed to rely on him, so I got him a phone on my account. His phone broke though, so he used the insurance that Verizon had and got it replaced. Verizon got confused as there were 3 numbers and decided my wife's number was now his. I sent that naked picture to my wife and received the following reply. "Dude, I'm not into you like that. How'd you get my new number so fast?" Next story. It wasn't me, but my coworker texted, "Sarah is here and she's got stinky breath." And she sent it to the work chat instead of an individual person. Then she also messaged the group chat calling out one employee for being a big mouth liar face. And she also messaged the work chat instead of an individual person saying someone smells bad and doesn't believe the story she's telling everyone at the exact moment the girl was telling a story. Next story. Tried texting like what? But I accidentally replaced the L in like with a K. I'll let you figure that one out. It was a typo. They're right next to each other on the keyboard. And then bonus, I had a client email me that he would like to incest. Got a follow-up email that said invest like a million times. Then I got a call saying, "Hey, did you see the follow-up email with my typo correction?" Next story. So, I was in college, technically a D1 college, but a military academy. I wrestled, and our starting heavyweight had also went to the 2008 Beijing Olympics as the first alternate, aka he was good. So, finally, after wrestling him for 2 years, I got lucky and dropped a headlock and knocked him out, and I pinned him. It's 2008, and I go to text my dad, "I finally pinned him. I got lucky and dropped a headlock." Well, turns out I accidentally sent it to the guy. He responds with something along the lines of, "Dang, already talking smack?" It was hilarious, and we still continued to be teammates because I was friendly to him, but I would have smacked him in a wrestle-off given the chance. He never gave me the chance, though, but it is what it is. Still, a good guy and a cool story. Steele, you're the man. Next story. I told my mom that my flatmate, who had previously told all of us how broke she was that we couldn't turn on the heating in 0 Celsius, so all of our stuff went moldy and we were freezing, we were all students, had walked in and gleefully told me that she had just bought a house, outright. in some very unkind words, but I sent it to the flat group chat rather than my mom. And to be honest, it felt awful in the moment, but it was the best thing I've ever done, getting into it in the open about how nasty she was. Next story. Me and my ex-girlfriend had shared a Google document where we were planning our trips and writing silly remarks next to some of the destinations like "can't wait to kiss you here." I wasn't very familiar with Google Docs at the time, and when I wanted to share it with her other account, I ended up sharing it and sending it to all of my contacts. Next story. So, I think I win this one. There's an episode of BoJack Horseman in which the character, BoJack, almost has sex with a 17-year-old girl. My friend had already watched the show, and I texted something along the lines of, "He's trying to F a 17-year-old," to her, but I sent it to my effing boss instead. Next story. I haven't told my wife this, but we went camping with some friends in our early 20s like a decade ago. We were just getting serious, but then again, I was seriously in it from the outset. Regardless, I had met her family a few times and was invited to a family Snapchat group, or the equivalent at the time. So we went camping with some friends, and I don't really drink, but this was like a party and we were all drinking. I had more than I usually do, and I was completely impaired. I walked into the bush to take a leak and thought it would be funny to snap my then-girlfriend a ding-dong picture. Well, 2 accidents happened. I accidentally snapped the family group and not my then-girlfriend, now wife, and I was so impaired I thought I sent a private picture, but had the selfie camera on instead. So I just sent a snap of my drunk 20-something face from a bad angle with some jumbled drunk spelling message. Next story. Sent a text message to a supervisor saying he better get ready because he's gonna get spanked. I also suggested he bring some Vaseline. It was meant for my friend and was about how bad I was gonna beat him later that night when we played Magic the Gathering. Supervisor was confused, but after I explained, he thought it was hilarious. Everyone did, and my friend's wife laughed so hard she was crying. Next story. Last week, I texted my 11-year-old daughter, "Are you ready to come and F me?" And I ran to her room immediately and we had to talk about adult conversations. She thought it was funny, but I will never recover. Next story. Either 1 or 2. 1, I meant to text a friend saying, "I'm getting head in your driveway, don't come outside." But I in fact did not send it to my friend, but my dad. 2, after high school, I had quite a few girls' numbers in my phone. I decided to group message all of them saying, "What you doing, trying to hang tonight?" But I didn't know group message meant all could see each other. I thought it meant it would mass text individually. Next story. Oh, I think I could win this one. It was 12 years ago, and I was on the train, going through my contacts and wishing them a Happy New Year, copying and pasting the message to each and every individual one. I was also chatting to a few people on a dating/social app, and was coping and pasting them a few more not-safe-for-work messages. So went back to wishing people a Happy New Year by pasting the wrong message, and did not even know until I started getting replies back. Next story. I'm a preacher. I was reading my upcoming sermon out loud, and someone triggered Siri, responding to a friend's incoming message with, "To you I will grant this whole realm, and the glory that goes along with it, for it has been relinquished to me, and I can give it to anyone I wish. So then, if you will worship me, all this will be yours." Next story. Sending a picture of my panties to my husband from work. Sent it to our group for our Bible study, to 10 people or so. As soon as I realized it, I deleted it, and no one said a word. To this day, I have no clue if anyone saw the picture or not. Or worse, who saw it and who didn't. Next story. Accidentally texted a professor instead of best friend that I fell down the steps and felt my soul exit my body via my ass. I have sent screenshots too of a conversation about a person to that person on accident, and big fat thumbs, fast typing, ADHD, and a small attention span. The winning combo. Next story. I accidentally texted my supervisor at my warehouse job, "Can I come over tomorrow?" Tongue, peach, water emoji. And while I was half asleep talking to my situationship over the phone, I thought I was texting her, and I sent it to him by accident. He was super cool about it, honestly, but I felt super embarrassed and awkward about it for the next few days around him. I still cringe about it to this day. Next story. One time, I got off work from an 11-hour shift, drove home tired as hell, instantly fell asleep as soon as I got in bed. Woke up the next morning, had sent my mom a payment without realizing who the text message was. I sent a money transfer to my mom, then sent a text message groggily thinking it was my mom. Nah, it was my coworker, and I basically just said, "Love you, sent the money payment." Then I get a text back a few minutes later, and I realized the text blip was green, not blue. Then he sent a text message back saying, "Love you too." I was face-palming at the situation. We both laughed about it at work the next day, though. Next story. My partner texted someone who replaced her in her current job, we were moving away, that she was effing worthless, thinking she was sending it to a work friend. But she was in fact not sending it to a work friend. Ended up in front of HR. Next story. I used to have a private math teacher when I was like 16. My friend had the same teacher, and he had the habit of always canceling last minute. That annoyed both my friend and myself. Well, one day was waiting for him at home and he canceled on me with the excuse that he didn't feel well. I wanted to let my friend know, so I typed something along the lines of, "So X has canceled on me again. He is sick. LOL. Anyway." And teacher replied to me, "Hey, OP, I think you sent that to the wrong person. See you next week." And I was so mortified. I wanted to bury myself underground forever. He just acted like nothing happened the next time I saw him, though. Next story. I texted my old supervisor a picture of a guy who works in another branch that I pulled off of his Facebook by searching for friends of friends. It took at least an hour to find his real name. The guy looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin, spitting image, and I was trying to show someone, but texted it to my old supervisor. Next story. So I didn't mean to send it to anyone, but once I sent a sexy picture of my then girlfriend in her bra and panties. Sent it to one of my close friends instead of a different photo. It was over Snapchat, and he assured me he closed the chat as soon as he realized what it was, so it was gone after that, but I definitely felt embarrassed. So Snapchat's been mentioned a few times throughout the course of this video, but I'm just now remembering I had accidentally sent a photo of myself to a friend of mine. We don't just send selfies to each other, we send memes and stupid stuff, but I just sent him a photo of me mogging or something like that in the mirror, I don't know. My phone was just slow and groggy, and I suppose I had accidentally sent the wrong photo opposed to the one that I actually did intend to send. But so far, I haven't really related to any of the stories we've read so far. I haven't had a personal experience or a really embarrassing text message to the wrong person, so hopefully it never happens, but I don't know. Anyway, next story. So I texted my ex. I had ended a 2-year relationship about 2 days ago at this point, instead of my best friend. OMG, the cute girl in my macroeconomics class I told you about came to ask me if we could pair up for the semester project, and I still feel bad about this. Even though she was my ex, she didn't deserve to have salt added to the wound. Also, the cute girl was totally out of my league, but somehow into me. So, of course, I managed to fumble it. Next story. When I was 15, I was in love with a close family friend who groomed me, and I compiled a list of every single activity over the past 8 years that we did together with details to prove that we had some kind of a connection. Well, I had sent my dad that giant written breakdown with dates and timestamps instead of my close friend. During lunch period, too. And this was all after the essay, which I also detailed. Then I got the "we'll talk when you're home" text message, and I knew I effed up. Next story. 3 years ago, I found a post from my former classmate about her sick brother and hoping that he gets well soon. I tried to encourage her to be strong during times like that. I used to be Christian, by the way, this will come important later. Nowadays went by and I saw another post from her saying that her little brother sadly passed away from his sickness. But my dumbass did not understand that based on the paragraph that she included, so I sent her a message saying, "The Lord didn't let him die? Question mark, question mark?" And it was so awkward that I just blocked her altogether out of embarrassment. May her brother rest in peace. Next story. When I was in college, I worked as an armored car guard. We had one late-night route that was a lot of driving between distant stops with a long section of a 2-lane road with no provision to pass. So, stuck behind a car driving well below the speed limit, my partner grabbed the microphone for the PA system and without keying the microphone, launched into an extended profanity-laden rant that would make a drill sergeant proud. Shortly thereafter, there was enough space for the car ahead of us to pull off the road. They did with a very abrupt high-speed turn, kicking up a cloud of dust. Still holding the microphone unkeyed, my partner opened a gun port. Testing, testing. Oh man. Next story. So, my name is typically one of not always one of the first names in a contact list. When Nokias were big, my mom's house would get a lot of pocket dials. Then one time, my friend pocket dialed us by accident while getting a BJ. My mom was cool about it and never said anything until the next time she saw him. And was like, "Hey, next time you and your girlfriend are having some fun, maybe make sure you don't have your phone in your pocket to pocket dial somebody." Next story. Not too bad, but on Valentine's Day I meant to send a text to my girlfriend. Something along the lines of, "Happy Valentine's, baby, I love you so much." Yes, I know it's cringy, but I'm not ashamed, that's just how we are with each other. But somehow ended up sending it to my boss. Him and I don't have the best relationship, but he did get a laugh out of it at least. Next story. Hey, so after working 36 hours in 3 days, I was texting with an employee to figure out his side of the story about what he had done earlier in the day. Before I was there, well, I then texted my boss to let her know that we are going to have to let X go. And then I sent the message to X. But I was working and didn't even realize until a few minutes later when X called and says something to the effect of, "I understand your decision and was aware of what the outcome would be if I told the truth about what happened, but I did. So could you maybe take that into account before you talk to the big boss?" And, oh man, it didn't even click until the last few words. I panicked and told him, "Of course, I got you." Then I told the big boss. So X thinks that I've changed my mind because of the accidental text message, so he's going to be surprised, and I wish you luck with that conversation. Next story. I texted my ex a huge, long thread laughing at her that she's spending her birthday alone. She was a single mom to an only child out in Florida, while he was with me in California. That was meant for my sister and talked a bunch of crap about her. In my defense, she said she was too good for me, called me fat. Heaviest I've ever been is 170 at 5'7", by the way. And when we got into a car accident and he was driving, he totaled his car and we had to call a cab. When we got dropped off, she told him to put his wallet away, and I asked why I couldn't pay. He had cuts on his face from the airbag. She interrogated me for why I didn't have any cuts on my face, like she wished it was me and not him. She accused me of ruining her visit to California because she got herself thrown out of the place she was staying and didn't expect an invitation to allow her to stay in my parents' home with us. I knew her and my mom would clash. And she called my dog a little rat dog. She ruined his birthday dinner I put together for him during the same stay because she got herself thrown out of her accommodations. The first time I met her, the first thing she said to me after I told her it was nice to meet her was, "Aren't you going to compliment my home?" To this day, I've never been asked that before or since. She'd pick us up and then yell, "Aren't you going to ask about my day?" And she would brag about getting servers fired. What? I don't know about you guys, but personally, I believe this is just an example of poorly written stories because what? Like, I feel like I got the gist of what happened here, but it wasn't written well. Sometimes people are just not good at English, and they're native English speakers. But anyway, next story. So, I was a manager at a hotel, and we had a manager of managers who assigned tasks to us. We were 5 of us all together, each of supervising the reception of a branch through Facebook Messenger group chat, and we had a group chat with only the 5 of us, and another group chat, including the big boss. Well, I was fed up with the task, which I found absolutely useless, and started to rant about it in the group chat like, "F this bullcrap, it's so stupid, I have no idea who came up with this crap. I'm just gonna say I tested, and it's useless. Nobody wants to waste time on that crap-ass housekeeping app." And of course, I sent this to the group chat that included the big boss. Then, all of a sudden, I see endless notifications of laughing emojis, and I panic as hell. But I see that everyone already saw what I typed, and our manager was like, "Well, that's something, I guess. Thanks for the feedback. We'll get back on this in a live meeting." And I felt awful. But in the end, this was a turning point, and we dropped the app even before testing it out properly. Oh, loved that place. Next story. Oh, so I'm infamous for this. I sent my son a link to an extremely explicit fanfiction instead of sending it to my friend. Then, a couple of months later, I sent my daughter an Instagram reel of a thirst trap of an actor, meant for that same friend. Then, about a month ago, thirst trap, meant for that same friend, sent to my entire family group chat. Father, siblings, nieces, and nephews. I clearly cannot be trusted with technology. Fortunately, everyone I have bombarded with unsolicited adult content is an adult. Next story. I sent my mother-in-law a Snapchat of my finger sticking through the zipper of my pants. I should add that she immediately closed the snap and thought it was my actual unit, and then my wife thought I was trying to send it to another woman. I had to ask all of my friends who received the Snapchat what it was to prove to my wife, and then show her the scenes from The Office and Pineapple Express where they do the same thing because her and her mother had never seen anyone do that before. Next story. My friend Alana asked me to come to her house one night. I drove over there and I realized I forgot her birthday when everyone else arrived with a gift. I panicked, and I pulled out my phone to text my friend Alexis, and the text read, "Holy crap, I forgot Alana's birthday and I'm at her house without a gift." And I pressed send, and Alana's phone lit up with a text message from me. Oh no. Next story. So, I left my job because of this. I have bestie and I have boss in my phone. I text my male boss instead of bestie, and I also never realized for hours until she phoned and had no idea what I was on about. And this was the text message I sent. I said, "Pissed off, I'm suffering with bad discharge and it smells. I'm really itching. Do you think I got an infection of that guy the other night? For F's sakes, I can't even remember his bloody name. If I see him again, I'm gonna chop his wiener off." And that was true. I never went back in again. Next story. I sent a good night text message meant for my boyfriend to my manager. Something like, "It's been a long day, so I'm gonna go to bed. I love you, sleep well." Didn't realize until she texted back, "Thank you for the kind words, although I'm going to assume they were meant for someone else. Have a good sleep and I'll see you at work tomorrow." I'm glad my boss was so cool about it, but I wanted to die. Next story. Not me, but I died for someone else on a Zoom call with over 400 people, and the presentation was ending and about to open up for questions in the chat, and someone with limited English sent "F you" instead of "thank you" over and over again until someone had to message him separately and tell him to please stop. Poor guy didn't know it was auto-correcting to "F you" every time. So basically, anytime a question was asked and he would answer, he would write "F you." LOL. Next story. Can I answer what I almost texted? To the parents of almost all of my students, by the way. So I was commuting one morning. We have an event at the school and I am reminding the parents of the student's schedule. Somewhere along the text, I used the word bigger. I reviewed what I typed once and I pressed send. Luckily, my initial press didn't register because my heart really skipped a beat when I read the word I mistyped. My fingers decided to play fat fingers that morning and I almost dropped the N-word with a hard R to the parents of my students. Next story. Oh, I hate even thinking about this one. It was the early 2010s and we lived in a very rural area. I would email people close to me on the regular as it was the best way to communicate with our limited cell service and dial-up internet. Yes, we only had dial-up, we were so rural. Well, one day I went on a huge rant about my husband, super private and embarrassing stuff. He was struggling with unmedicated bipolar at the time and things could get really wild. I sent it to my friend, whose husband also had bipolar. We would commiserate and support each other. I held nothing back when talking to her. Well, I got an email back within a couple of hours saying, I think you sent that to the wrong person. It was a guy who had bought something from me the previous week. I still remember the feeling of horror and shock. I wanted to crawl under a rock and never resurface. It's been about 14 years ago, and I still think about it. It was horrific. It's instilled a lifelong fear in me, and I triple check before I send anything the least bit sensitive. Next story. Oh God, it was a different time. After meeting and befriending a group of girls on holiday, one of whom was in a relationship but I got on really well with, myself and a group of friends arranged a meetup with them in their home city of Leeds. I messaged the nice young lady to let her know that we'd booked hotels and would meet them in a few weeks. She informed me that she had broken up with her boyfriend. I immediately texted one of my mates to inform him I was going to smash her back doors in. Well, I did not message my friend. I messaged the girl. She was confused and disappointed. We met up anyway, back doors remained very much intact, and I finished the evening with sadness and a selection of movies from the adult section. Next story. Writing this hoping it'll be some sort of therapy for me, but split up with a partner of 3 years. It was not a good ending. Both of us were pretty awful to each other, both near the end and afterwards, but she comes into the bar I worked at with her new boyfriend 3 weeks later, someone I knew, lovely guy, and I got wrecked behind the bar. It was a little dive music venue and I rarely drank, but it was definitely a place I could get away with it. Well, I have this habit of texting myself stuff, like little lyrics or vents, sometimes just journaling stuff when I don't have any pen or paper on hand. And yeah, you can probably see where this is going, except I was uncommonly effed up, so any shred of eloquence was out the window. Instead, it was an outburst while sobbing, me texting myself, "Please don't be in love, please don't be in love, please don't be in love," over and over and over again. I was really trying to get some cathartic release. I don't think I even knew if I meant it for me or for her. And of course, her name began with an A. And I still crawl into a hole thinking about that being the last text she ever received from me. On the plus side, though, that was nearly 10 years ago, and we were trash for each other. She made it easy after that with her actions to stop thinking about her. Then, side note that makes me feel better, I had a very uncommon haircut/facial hair thing going on at the time. I knew her new partner for a while before this. Like I said, nice guy, we still run into each other every now and then. It's impossible to dislike him. And when she came in with him, he had shaved his hair and beard to look like a poor imitation of my already embarrassing look. I don't know if it was intentional or subconscious, but either way, that still makes me chuckle. Next story. My husband takes my phone when we bang and takes some pictures of us from his perspective. I love it. No, I'm not sharing creeps, by the way, leave me alone. And I was feeling it one day pretty bad. So I went into my phone vault, found one that was particularly racy, and I hit download. This is where I usually go to the last message I had with someone so I can't mess it up. But instead, I hit share. And my list of most popular contacts pops up, and I went to hit my husband's name. Well, the list shifted or I drag scrolled or something, but I hit send to my friend group chat. It was only a picture of him balls deep in my ass with the caption of "more of this later." My only consolation is that the one next to it was his family's group chat, and it could have been far, far worse. So everyone, we have made it to the end. This one's been fun, embarrassing, and I surprisingly didn't feel secondhand embarrassment. That's probably because last year in November, I sent possibly the worst voice message humanity has to offer. I wanted to die. I really felt awful. Not even ironically joking, just that was awful. But I don't think the woman received it. Or at least she didn't bring it up when I spoke to her because she was so busy and sick and behind on calls, so she probably didn't even hear it, so I'm fingers crossed, I'm hoping. But as for accidental text messages, not really have I sent any, so I'm very thankful for that. But like I said earlier, I'm sure my day will come. But anyway, guys, if you have any, feel free to share. But thank you all so much for watching, commenting, have a really good day, and bye-bye!